NATO has launched a bold new strategic defense and security partnership with the European Union, marking its biggest shift in defense policy in decades. Traditionally anchored to the US through NORAD and NATO, Canada is now deliberately diversifying its alliances, seeking deeper cooperation with Europe amid global instability. This agreement, finalized in Brussels, grants Canada unprecedented access to the European Defence Fund and major military projects, positioning it as a privileged, non-EU partner. The Carney government's strategy aims to reduce reliance on the US, where 75% of Canada's defense spending currently flows, and to give Canadian industry more leverage and options. While reaffirming commitments to NATO and NORAD, Ottawa is signaling a future with a more European-facing defense identity. This pivot is both pragmatic and ambitious, seeking economic opportunity and greater security autonomy. Canada is no longer just a consumer of defense technology, it's becoming an active, influential partner in shaping the Western Alliance. The heart of Canada's new strategy is a high-stakes gamble. Delaying a $2.88 billion payment for 88 F-35A fighter jets from the U.S. Ottawa is leveraging this payment to secure better industrial deals from both American and European partners, tying it to the establishment of a key F-135 engine maintenance hub in Quebec. Defense Minister Bill Blair has made clear that funds will only be released if Canada secures tangible industrial agreements with European defense giants. This transforms the F-35 contract into a bargaining chip, forcing a competition for Canada's investment. The risk is real. Delaying payment could jeopardize F-35 deliveries, forcing Canada to spend billions to keep aging jets flying. Yet the government is willing to accept this risk to maximize economic returns and strategic autonomy. The outcome of this gambit will define whether Canada's assertive new policy pays off or backfires. The next few weeks are critical for Canada's defense and industrial future. The Canada-EU partnership is a win-win, granting Canada access to Europe's most advanced defense programs and lucrative new markets. Canadian firms can now bid on projects like the Main Ground Combat System and the Future Combat Air System, moving beyond their traditional supplier roles. The agreement also enables Canadian co-financing of the European Defence Fund and participation in joint procurement, leveling the playing field with European competitors. Plans for a joint cruise missile test site further cement Canada's role in developing critical munitions for Western allies. For the EU, the deal secures long-term access to Canada's vital nickel and cobalt reserves, essential for green tech and high-tech industries. The EU also invests in Canada's green sector, funding a lithium battery recycling plant in Ontario. This partnership blends security, industrial and environmental goals, strengthening both sides' global positions. Canada's pivot to Europe has put its defense industry at a crossroads, with billions and thousands of jobs at stake. Delaying the F-35 deal threatens $450 million in annual revenue for over 100 Canadian firms, risking their place in the world's largest defense program. Yet, successful integration into European supply chains could double that revenue by 2030, offering diversification and long-term growth. The challenge is bridging the gap between current U.S. contracts and future European opportunities. The next few weeks will reveal if Canadian firms can secure major European deals, or if Ottawa's gamble leaves the industry in limbo. The stakes have never been higher for Canada's defense sector. Canada's European pivot has raised alarms in Washington, especially over the future of the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance and North American defense. The F-35 is central to Allied interoperability. A Canadian delay could create gaps in joint operations and intelligence sharing. U.S. officials worry Canada's focus on Europe may weaken its Indo-Pacific commitments, shifting more security burden onto other allies. The F-35's advanced systems were meant to integrate with NORAD's modernization. Delays could disrupt North American defense. Behind the scenes, the Pentagon is pressing Canada to honor its commitments, warning that alliance choices have real consequences. Canada's decisions now will shape its role in the Western Alliance for years to come. The next month will be pivotal for Canadian defense policy, as Ottawa faces deadlines on the F-35 payment and its new European deals. Key contract awards from Airbus and MBDA will determine if Canada's European strategy delivers real industrial gains. Success would justify the government's bold approach, securing new opportunities and strategic autonomy. Failure would leave Canada caught between two continents, risking weakened ties with both the US and Europe. The Carney government's legacy, and Canada's security trajectory, hangs in the balance. The world is watching to see if this is a masterstroke or a miscalculation. The countdown to a generational decision has begun. As Canada stands at this crossroads, eyes from Washington to Brussels to Beijing are fixed on Ottawa's next move. International media outlets dissect every signal and global markets react to rumors of new alliances and shifting priorities. Gap 1S. NATO partners quietly debate the future of transatlantic defense, wondering if Canada's pivot could spark a broader realignment. Meanwhile, European defense firms ramp up lobbying efforts, eager to secure their share of emerging contracts. Gap 1S. Across the globe, rival powers weigh their options. Could Canada's gamble inspire other middle powers to rethink their own loyalties? Or will the risks deter copycats, reinforcing the status quo? Gap 1S. On the streets of Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, Canadians voice a mixture of pride, skepticism, and anxiety. Social media buzzes with debates over sovereignty, economic opportunity, and national identity. Gap 1S. In these uncertain moments, one thing is clear: Canada's decision will ripple far beyond its borders, shaping the balance of power for years to come. The world isn't just watching, it's preparing to respond. Gap 2S. As the deadline approaches, the stakes have never been higher, and the consequences more profound. As the dust settles from global reactions, a new question emerges. What comes next for Canada? The decisions made in Ottawa today will forge the nation's path for decades. Behind closed doors, policymakers weigh competing visions, one rooted in tradition, the other in bold reinvention. Gap 1S. Analysts warn that the true test lies not in the announcement of new alliances, but in the everyday realities of implementation. Will Canadian industries adapt quickly enough to seize new opportunities? Can the government maintain public trust through turbulent change? Gap 1S. Across the country, educators, entrepreneurs, and innovators begin to imagine a future defined by international collaboration and homegrown resilience. Universities launch new programs tailored to emerging sectors, while startups race to meet the demands of shifting supply chains. Gap 1S, yet uncertainty lingers. The world's response is unpredictable and unforeseen challenges are sure to arise. Gap 1S. As headlines fade and the world's attention shifts, Canada's journey is just beginning. The choices made now will echo through generations, shaping not only the nation's destiny but influencing the global order itself. Gap 2S. In this pivotal moment, one truth stands out: the future remains unwritten, and Canada holds the pen. As policymakers debate and industries adapt, the real pulse of the nation can be found far from the corridors of power, in the voices of everyday Canadians. Gap 1S. Across bustling cities and quiet rural towns, people gather in coffee shops, classrooms, and community halls, sharing their hopes and concerns for what comes next. Gap 1S. A young entrepreneur in Vancouver describes the thrill of new possibilities. Gap 1S. While a steelworker in Hamilton worries about job security as supply chains evolve. Gap 1S. On a windswept prairie, a farmer wonders how international partnerships will affect his livelihood. Gap 1S. While a university student in Montreal dreams of joining a new wave of global innovators. Gap 1S. Their stories reveal a nation grappling with change. Gap 1S. But also one united by resilience and determination. Gap 1S. Social media buzzes with passionate debate, some championing bold moves. Gap 1S. Others urging caution and care. Gap 1S. Through it all, a common thread emerges: the understanding that Canada's transformation will be shaped not just by leaders, Gap 1S, but by the collective will and ingenuity of its people. Gap 1S. As the country stands at a crossroads, these voices, diverse, authentic, and hopeful, remind us that the story of Canada's future belongs to everyone. Gap 2S. The journey ahead is uncertain. Gap 1S. But one thing is clear: the strength of a nation lies in the courage of its people to dream, adapt, and build together.